go. Let me just get this Instagram feed going. And there we are. All right, I am Coach James. I'm the creator and lead instructor for All About Aerodynamics, the science program that uses Hot Wheels cars to teach kindergarten through 6th grade students about a range of science and physics related let's double check. I'm getting some feedback from the, let's see. All right, there we go. Now we're up. Instagram, Twitch, YouTube. Once again, I am Coach James. I'm the creator and lead instructor for All About Aerodynamics, the science program that uses Hot Wheels cars to teach kindergarten through 6th grade students about a range of science and physics related topics, including but not limited to friction, force, aerodynamics, drag, lift, Isaac Newton and his 3 laws of motion, potential energy, kinetic energy, and a whole range of topics. Once we've learned the science, once we've conducted experiments to drive home those concepts, then I bring in about 400 different Hot Wheels cars, and each student selects a Hot Wheels car they think would be fastest in a series of races based on everything they've learned in the program. Once they have selected their cars, they observe their cars, they catalog their cars, they weigh their cars, they test the speed of their cars, they check the year the car was manufactured. They put all of that information into a spreadsheet, and then they set up a 1/64th scale quarter-mile drag strip, and we have a series of races. And the races are intended to let the students observe how their cars performed. Did their cars perform up to or below their expectations? And if they had the opportunity, would they select those cars again, or would they make a different choice based on everything they learned in the program? So at the end of the day, we have fun with Hot Wheels cars. We learn science. What could be better? If you would like more information about our science program, All About Aerodynamics, all you have to do is go to our website, aerodynamics.com, or you can visit our Instagram profile, Aerodynamics, and all the information that you need is in the bio. And that is that. But today, Wind Tunnel Wednesday, what we do is we take Hot Wheels cars, we put them inside our 1/64th scale wind tunnel, and we observe the aerodynamic properties and profiles of each of those cars. And what we can do is we can observe what happens in the wind tunnel and then make a pretty educated guess about what is going to happen when those cars are on our track, because we can see that the airflow over, under, and around those cars, we know that that is going to impact them as they move down the track in terms of drag. So it's either going to be pressure drag or friction drag, which is going to have more of an impact on the car, and we can get an idea of that based on what we see in the wind tunnel. So we're going to take cars, put them in the wind tunnel, observe the aerodynamic profiles, and go over a little bit of science. And what it can do is help you select a car to race. What do you mean? Well, every Saturday we have AtTheTrack.live, where I introduce new cars into the fleet, because before I can bring cars to the students for them to use, I have to make sure I have cataloged all of the cars so that I can keep them in the right place, keep them in order, and return them to the right place after the students are done using them. But when I introduce new cars into the fleet, I have to take a picture, take a video. I have to enter information into the master spreadsheet so that I can keep track of all the cars. Right now we're up to 865 cars. So there are 865 cars in our fleet, and on Saturdays we add to that number. But viewers have a chance to select a car to race as well, and all you have to do is go to AtTheTrack.live down there at the bottom of the screen, and you're going to have 3 options on that page. One is the YouTube stream link, one is the Twitch stream link, but the third link, the third most important option, is the option that says choose your car. When you select that option, you will be taken to this page, and on this page you will see all of the cars that are currently in the All About Aerodynamics AtTheTrack.live fleet. all 860, what did I say, 65 cars that are here. And each car is numbered. Each car is labeled. You can click on a car. You can see a close-up picture of the car, see what it looks like. And you can see also from the reflection, something that's very important when it's time to race, is whether or not it is a metal body on a plastic base, a plastic body on a metal base, or in some cases we have cars, the older cars, that are metal on metal. And typically with our track, you don't want to select a metal on metal car because it is going to be heavy. And our track is a flat drag track, so heavy cars tend not to be the best selection because they will tend to slow down toward the back end of the track, just given the weight, especially if they are racing a significantly lighter car. So heavy is not necessarily the way you want to go on our track, but there's also a trade-off if you go with a car that's very small, a really light car. They have their own issues, some of which we'll get into as we put the cars into the wind tunnel. But if there's a car that you would like to see in the wind tunnel, all you have to do is find the car you want, take the number of that car. In this case, let's say you take this Formula E Gen 2. You take a look at it, you say, yeah, I want to see what it looks like in the wind tunnel. Then you just take 157, that number, whatever the number is for the car you want to select, drop it into the chat, and I will pull the car and we will put it in the wind tunnel. We have Hot Wheels cars of all styles and types. We have cars from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, some that were just released in the last few weeks. We have character cars. We have cars like animals, dinosaurs, fish, crocodile. We had a crocodile car that just raced this past Saturday. We have superhero cars, Iron Man, Batman. We have Batmobiles. We have over a dozen different Batmobiles. Ferraris, Lamborghinis, trucks. We have a couple of tanks in there. We have cars based off of boats. We have a few cars based off of airplane designs. So whatever, there's a spider, this arachnarod. We've got arachnarods. So whatever kind of car it is that you may be interested in, we have that type of car. And all you have to do is find the car that you want to see race and take that number, drop it in the chat, and I will pull the car. But today, what you would be doing is picking a car to see it in the wind tunnel and taking a look at the aerodynamic profile, and I will be able to explain as we put the cars in the wind tunnel how and why that makes a difference, what we see. So, yeah, you can take this quick bite. If that's what you want, this big shaved ice cream truck, then shaved ice truck, then so be it. Would I pick it? No, but hey, you're free to pick whichever car catches your eye, whichever car you think could be best performer on our track. So we are going to put the cars in the wind tunnel, and there's a look at the empty wind tunnel. So which cars are going to be in first? Well, the first car that we're going to put in, as always, is this car. It is the Blitz Speeder. It is our fastest in fleet car. It is the car that has been extremely dominant in the past 2 months, basically. It was our fastest in fleet car, meaning it was the car that won the AtTheTrack.live Saturday tournament for 17 weeks last year. Then it lost a race, and we had a new champion for 16 weeks. On that 17th week, we brought the Blitz Speeder back. It challenged that new champion and blew it off the track. And since then, the Blitz Speeder has had really no significant competition, and it has been beating cars with ease on our track for the past 2 months. And it's always the first car that we put in the wind tunnel, because if you're going to pick a car and your ultimate goal is to become the fastest in fleet car, then you're going to need to beat the Blitz Speeder. So it's worth taking a look at the Blitz Speeder's aerodynamic profile so that you can compare that to the car that you pick and see if they match up. And if they do match up, then you may have a shot to beat the Blitz Speeder and have your car be the fastest in fleet car. It's a tall order because the Blitz Speeder is extremely fast, and if you want to see the Blitz Speeder in action, you can go to our YouTube page and just click on the live tab, and all of the episodes of At the Track Live will be up, or they are up, and you can click an episode. You can see which cars were introduced. There are time codes, so you can jump right to the part of the episode that you want to see, and then you'll get an idea about the Blitz Speeder, about its performance. If you watch a few episodes, you'll start to see kind of trends in terms of the types of cars that do well on our track, and it's we have fun racing the cars and trying to find that fastest Hot Wheels car. But right now, we are pretty confident that the Blitz Speeder is, in fact, it is the fastest Hot Wheels car on the planet. And until we get a car that can prove otherwise, the Blitz Speeder is the car. So let's go ahead and put it in the wind tunnel and switch over to this view and get the Blitz Speeder in here. This is the Windsible, the Funtech Labs 1/64th scale wind tunnel, and it's been a great thing to have, especially for me, in terms of having a whole science course based around aerodynamics, and this really helps students visualize exactly what is happening and what we're talking about in terms of the aerodynamic profile. So with this car, one thing you're going to note is that when the air comes out, it's going to hit the car right in the front and come up over the top. It's going to come up over the hood. It's going to hit the windshield. It's going to flow up the windshield to the roof line and right off the back. Now, what's important is that the airflow is going to adhere right to the body. It's going to follow the curves of the body. It's not going to separate and detach. And once we get started, I'll start to explain why detached air is not what you want to see from the cars in the wind tunnel. So let's get this locked down. And here we go with the Blitz Speeder, our fastest in fleet car. This car is so fast on the track. It's just, I mean, if you're into Hot Wheels racing, you can really appreciate the Blitz Speeder and its just remarkable run on our track. So right now, we are at 67 miles per hour, which is extremely low. Our scale speeds on our track get up to, 300, 400 plus miles per hour. So 67 is extremely mild. And let's turn this up a little bit. So what we're looking at, now we're at 107 miles per hour. We're looking at this first airstream. So it's coming out, it's hitting the front of the car and coming up over the top. The second airstream or smoke stream is coming right across the top. But we're not really seeing the separation between those two streams. So let me go ahead and turn the speed up a little bit. Okay, so now we're up to 161 miles per hour. And what you can clearly see is there's that little separation between the two streams. So we have this first airstream the air is still flowing right along the body of the car, from the hood to the windshield to the roof line, right off the back. And the second line, the separation you see there is just between those two streams. We're going to turn this up a little more. Now you can see complete separation between the first and second streams right there. And you see that this first stream, the air is adhering right to the body. And that is exactly what you want to see. From the beginning all the way to the back end, the airflow is adhering, following the curves of the body, and right off the tail end with that long wing. Then I'm sure we have some airflow that is, the air is traveling beneath the car and then coming up through the diffuser in the back, and you see this bit of turbulence here. But the key point, what you want to see and what you may not see from other cars, is how this air is flowing right up and over the car, sticking right to the body. And that is, I mean, that is what you want to see. This is perfect. This is absolutely perfect. And any other car that you put in here, and we're going to put some other cars in here today, you might see some other things happening. And this is one of the reasons why the Blitz Speeder is so fast on our track, because what this means is it's reducing the amount of drag that is acting against it. And we're at 201 miles per hour. We're going to take it down a little bit. Hey, Roughshod, how's it going? Roughshod is, he can attest to, he's seen the Blitz Speeder the last couple of months, and it is a hard car to try to beat, because it is, well, the aerodynamics are a huge part of it, because what we've noticed and what we can observe is that on our track, and I've mentioned this a few times before, that on our track, there are three forces at work. And it's a flat drag track. So the cars come out of the launcher and are rolling down the track. And so immediately, they are going to be as fast as they're ever going to be right from the beginning of the race. And then from that point, they're starting to slow down. And the thing is, what is making them slow down? It's three forces. It's gravity, it's drag, it's friction. And the cars that can reduce the impact of those forces are going to be the cars that perform the best on the track and maintain speed. So they're all losing speed, but the question is, because of those forces, but which cars are losing speed at a slower rate? And it's a different thing to think about, because if you think about a gravity track, the cars start off at the top, they start off pretty slow, and then because gravity is pulling on them and they're traveling downward, they pick up speed. So with cars on a gravity track, they hit their maximum speed somewhere towards the bottom of the slope that they're running down. With our track, it's different. The cars fire out from the launcher. They're at their top speed right at the beginning, and then from that point they are slowing down. Now a car like the Blitz Speeder, because it's minimizing those forces to a degree, it is quick down the track. It doesn't lose much speed, and it's really fast down the track. Other cars, depending on their shape, their style, their size, are going to lose speed, and depending on the amount of drag specifically, the weight of the car, it's all going to work together to determine whether or not a car is fast on our track or not. The friction comes into play with cars that don't stay straight. If they start bouncing around from side to side, Isaac Newton's third law of motion, for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. So cars that get a bad launch and go off to one side and hit the side of the track are going to bounce back to the other side. And because of the force they're coming out of the launcher with, those cars, you can just see them kind of fishtailing, bouncing around back and forth. And every time they hit that side wall of the track, that's a little bit of friction that's taking away a little bit of speed from the car. So if you've watched the Blitz Speeder races, Blitz Speeder tends to stay straight, pretty straight on the track. But we have had cars that have bounced around. One such car, which last week was another. The last 2 weeks on At The Track Live, we've had two sleeper cars that we didn't think, there was no reason to think they would do well on the track, but then they surprised us. And not only did they do pretty well, they won a race. So our races are best 2 out of 3. They won 2 races, moved on, and then took another race, but ended up losing. So they only took 1 out of the next 3. But the first one 2 weeks ago was a bus called Ain't Fair, and it was like this low rider, this lowered bus, and it was wide. But the trick with that one is that it was light. It was all plastic except for a metal roof that had a hole cut out of it, and it was really light. It was wide, it was light. So aerodynamics and the drag, that its aerodynamic profile was bad, but its weight was good. And the fact that it was wide meant it didn't bounce around the track. So while it didn't reduce the impact of drag, it did reduce the impact of gravity because the weight was in a pretty good range. And the friction wasn't as much of a problem because it wasn't bouncing around the track. But last week, we pulled in another big boy. It was a heavyweight showdown. We pulled in this Matchbox fire truck. And once again, aerodynamically terrible. The weight on this one was also terrible. It was, I believe it weighed in at about 50 grams. And for comparison, the Blitz Speeder is 32.4 grams. And most of the cars that do well on our track are in the range of about 32 grams to 36 grams, right in there. So this one, it's a big rectangle. It's not aerodynamically impressive, and then it's heavy. So you've got 2 things working against it. Then the third thing is the Matchbox cars tend not to be as wide, and the dimensions tend not to be as exaggerated as Hot Wheels cars. So in addition to this thing being heavy and being rectangular, it also is narrow. It's a lot more narrow than the Ain't Fair, and this thing was bouncing around the track left and right, but it somehow managed to take one race. I'm sorry, it took 2 of the first 3 from the car that it faced, and then it went on to the second round, and it took 1 race, and it was a wild performance. It's bouncing around the track. It crashed a couple of times, but this was definitely a car that a truck that was not expected to do well, and that is why we have to end up racing the cars, because you just never know how a car is going to perform. We can have all the ideas and theories we want about the cars, but until they actually get on that track, we have no idea. So we're going to go ahead and put this fire truck into the wind tunnel and take a look, and we pretty much know exactly what we're going to see, because it's going to be similar to what we saw with the Ain't Fair, which is the bus. There was also just a big rectangle, and what we're going to see is yeah, rough shot. That's the fire truck I want coming if I call. Yeah, because it'll be there in a hurry. It will. That is true. So let's see if I can get it to stay put. Right about there. All right, it wants to roll up to the front a little bit. But we know exactly what we're going to see. We're going to see the same thing we saw with the Ain't Fair. And that is the air is going to be building up right in the front because it's got such a huge frontal area. So we're going to see all the air hitting the front, and it's going to pile up, and then eventually some will make it over the top. We're probably going to see a lot of air coming off the sides, and what you'll see, it might be a little difficult to see those air streams coming off the side, those smoke trails, but you'll be able to see because it'll get a little hazy, and the view won't be as clear. So let's go ahead and lock this down. All right. And get this thing fired up. See what we see. So this is at 67 miles per hour, which is about where we start. And you can already see, if you look by the window, because the windows are black, you see that the air is hitting the front of this fire truck, and then it's just, the air has to go somewhere. It has to go over, under, around these cars, and you can just kind of see it flowing around the sides. Let me try and move the camera. So you can see right there at the front of the car, or at the front of this fire truck, the air like down by the bumper, right up by the window, that the air is just moving right around the sides. Let's see this view overhead. And this is a pretty good view because the air is in the way, and the truck has to push it out of the way when it's moving down the track. And it did that. And that's what we saw. But let's go ahead and turn up the, so right now we're at 67 miles per hour. We're going to turn this up a little bit. Let's get up to 107 miles per hour. And it's just, we just see more extreme examples of what we were already seeing. That the air piles up in the front of the truck. It has to figure out which way it's going, and then as it comes around the sides, goes over the top. It is unlike the Blitz Speeder. The air is not following the lines of the body. It's just coming off the sides, and it's not as clear as it was at the low speeds, but you can just see the air is not adhering to the body. Look at the air flow at the front of the fire truck, and then look at the back, and you can see that the air is just totally detached from the body. And that is not what you want to see. Why don't you want to see that? Because it creates pressure drag. And so that means there's higher pressure at the front where all this air is bunched up. And then at that point where the air separates from the airflow separates from the body of the truck, it creates lower pressure. So starting from about here, all through here, it's a lower pressure area. Right up here is a high pressure area. And that's going to create pressure drag because the pressure is going to be essentially pushing from high to low, from the high area to the low area. So that would be from here to here. But the problem is, the fire truck is trying to move that way. It's moving to the left, but the pressure drag would be pushing toward the right. So it's pushing against the direction that the truck wants to go. And with the Blitz Speeder, because the air is following the contours of the body and not separating, you don't have pressure drag as something that is hurting the forward momentum of that car. So this is at 107. I'll turn it up just so we can see, but we're not going to see really anything too different than what we've been seeing. And that's just how it is. That is the Matchbox, this Matchbox fire truck, and it is, I would say you should go back and watch that performance that it put in on Saturday, and you'll see it was a wild race, and the aerodynamics on this truck are bad, but you know, it had something going for it. And sometimes it's a situation of matchups that it really does just depend on what car another car is going up against. And let's see here. I see, okay, Roughshod wants to check out 316 and 411. So I am going to grab those. And if you tune in, passing by, and you want to see a car in the wind tunnel, just go to AtTheTrack.live, select choose a car, and then all you have to do is take the number of that car, drop it in the chat. I will pull that car, and we will stick it in the wind tunnel. So I'm going to go grab these two cars, 316 and 411. All right, let's see. Let's slow this down. Pull this one out. That Matchbox fire truck. At some point, I'm gonna have some. I'm gonna have to have different races where I give maybe fire trucks, trains, buses, things like that. The cars that aren't necessarily going to be fast on the track, but we can have some races and crown a heavyweight champion. And I think this car would be in the running. It's just a big, heavy fire truck. Why it did what it did, I don't know, but it was nice to see. All right. So let's see. Roughshod has got two picks here. So one, let's go ahead and take a look at. It is this one. It is it's a Lamborghini. Let me see. It's the Lamborghini Murcielago LP 674 SV. And so Lamborghinis. Always a solid pick, and and then the other car that you had listed, I need to check. Let's go here. If anybody wants to pick a car, all you have to do is go to AtTheTrack.live, select the choose a car option, scroll through, find the car that you want, take the number, drop it in the chat. I will pull it, and we will take a look at it. 316. Oh yeah, that's right. The Formula Solar. I believe I have it right over here. Here it is. It is in a special group of cars that I use. So, oh yeah, this is definitely going to be one that we're going to check out. So this is the Lamborghini, and we're going to check that out, but we kind of know what to expect with Lamborghinis. But this is the one. This is the out-of-the-box pick that Roughshod is considering, and it is the Formula Solar. And this car, first thing I notice about this car are these skinny disc wheels, and that makes me think it's going to be a problem because we just haven't had a car with these skinny disc wheels do well. But there's always a first time for everything. And like I said, you can have ideas about how a car is going to perform, but you really never know because this car has a lot going for it. It is essentially, it's like a skateboard, surfboard type thing. There's nothing here. There's nothing to impede the airflow until you get to this back, this kind of wing, this fin that just protrudes up, and it's got a little channel right there, so the air should just kind of flow right up there into the channel. It's I mean, as thin as can be. It can't weigh very much because the only part that's metal is this light blue part on the bottom. Everything else, the wheels, the fin, this blue part, are all plastic. And now, where there might be a question is on this back end, because this is going to be the only point of contact this car has with the launching block on Saturday. So we're not sure how that's going to impact its the kind of launch that it gets and whether or not it's going to be able to stay straight. If it had a wide flat wing on the back like the Blitz Speeder, then I would be a little more confident. But I think this car it's just a wild card. We don't know really what to expect, but we're going to get an idea of something because we're going to put this car in the wind tunnel and check it out. So, oh, and this part, now see, this is the weird part because this plastic part does come up. It comes up, and I believe it can come off. Because I had a student who picked this, and I think that it can come off, but I think the regular way that it's supposed to be is on. So we're going to leave it on, and we are going to stick it in the wind tunnel. And just look at that. I mean, just look at that side profile. It's like, reminds me of maybe a paper airplane, something like that. I don't know, but this is going to be interesting. I think like I said, we've never had a car with these skinny little disc wheels do well on the track. But if there's ever going to be a car that is going to be the first car with skinny wheels to do well on the track, this car has to be the one with the best shot. So let's go ahead and take a look at this one and see what we've got. All right. All right, here we go. The Formula Solar. Let's get our smoke right at 67 miles per hour, right where we like to start. And what we're seeing is pretty much same thing we saw with the Blitz Speeder. And this is at a low speed, so it'll be more easy to distinguish as we speed it up, but the air hits that front, flows up over the top because there's nothing there to block or impede the airflow. And then it hits this back area, and I see some of the air is going around the fin and some is going up over. Let's get the speed turned up a little bit. Now we're at 94 miles per hour. 107. And we are still seeing that airflow just right over the front of the car. And I guess with these fantasy cars, it's hard to predict and assume, but let's presume that the driver's area is somewhere back here. So we've got this long hood area, and that air is just flowing right across there, staying adhered to the body. And then some of the air, let's see. Oh, we got a message. This thing sends out a message, low on fog fluid, which I don't know. Sometimes it gives some of these false messages. So let's go ahead and take a look. This is the again, the Windsible 1/64 scale wind tunnel, and it is a new product. It is definitely, and it has a few quirks, but for the most part, it works as expected. So let's see. Let's pull this out, and I'll show you. You can see my longer review of this product on YouTube page, but let me try to show you what the... So you can see right there, sort of, that this is the level of the fog fluid right here, right there. Right there, you can see that it says that's the 100% mark. So how can we be low on fluid when that's the 100% mark right there? Let me see if I move it over, kind of turn it. So you can see it there. So I've gotten a few of these kind of false positives, but it's usually just a matter. I can usually just go in and reset and check it out. But like I said, this is version 1.0 of this product. This time last year, it didn't even exist. It was a Kickstarter project. So let me turn this off and stick the fluid back inside. Two flashing lights. So yeah, so it didn't even exist. It was just an idea that they had. They had a Kickstarter campaign. I contributed to that, and within a year, they had this product ready and shipping. So I can't be. I'm not mad at it. It is expensive, and with all this stuff with the tariffs, if you're in the United States, this is going to cost you a lot more because it is shipped from China. And so I saw something, email that they sent out where the cost, they were explaining the cost going up. So I'm glad I got this in. And when I bought it, there were no, the tariff trade war thing hadn't started, and it was still expensive. But let's get it back. Let's get it running again, because the Formula Solar is the car that I think Roughshod's going to go with. Now he's going to take a look at that Lamborghini, but I have a feeling that we kind of know what we're going to get with a Lamborghini. And I think in order to beat the Blitz Speeder, Roughshod mentioned it a while back, that you got to take some chances. So right now we're back up to 121 miles per hour, and you can see that again, that airflow, it is sticking right along. It's sticking right to the body, and that is what you want to see. You don't want to see the separation. I know the other car that we showed was that fire truck, but what it did show was the separation. We're up to 147 miles per hour simulated speed, and this is important because the faster objects move through the air, the more drag has an impact. So cars that can reduce the amount of drag have a better shot on our track of being fast. Thank you, Ghost. Yeah, I mean, this is a cool little product, and they're making versions for larger scale model cars. I think 118 and 124th scale, I believe. But those are really expensive. I think last I saw it was like $600. So, let's turn this up just a little bit more, see if we can see any more separation, and we are. So we're seeing the separation between the first and second streams, which is what we saw with the Blitz Speeder, but most important is that first stream. We're seeing no separation between the body and the stream until it comes right off the end. So this is what you want to see, and you want to match up with the Blitz Speeder's aerodynamic profile. On Saturday we will check out the weight of this car, but it doesn't feel like it weighs that much. So hopefully it's in a good solid range to perform well. And I think that this is again, my only question is those little skinny disc wheels. Can those wheels do what we need the car to do in order to be a top tier all about aerodynamics at the track live performers. So this is at 161 miles per hour. This is the Formula Solar. This is going to be an interesting race when this one hits the track. I've had a student select it, which is, but I don't remember how it performed. I just remember it because they thought they broke it when this part lifted up. Now, hopefully, when the car is on the track, that doesn't happen. No air gets under there and lifts this up, because if that happens, air will get trapped in there and it will act almost like a parachute that kind of slows the car down. And we definitely do not want that. So we'll see. But the Formula Solar, these skinny tires, if they had just put some regular standard real Hot Wheels cars, even if they had made them yellow, I would have been cool if they were yellow. But we're going to see. We may have our first little disc wheel car that does well. And now I'm popping in the Lambo, which is a more traditional car and pick. So let me just make sure everything's lined up right before I turn the wind tunnel on. And we are good to go with the Lambo, which if you're into Lamborghinis, we have plenty of those. I think Batmobiles and Lamborghinis are probably the two types of cars that we have the most of, probably followed by Ferraris, and then I think like Mustangs, Chargers, Challengers, things like that. But if you are into Lamborghinis or Batmobiles, this is the place to be. You go to AtTheTrack.live, select choose a car, and then on that page, just find the car that you want to race. All right, we've got the Lambo locked in, and let's go ahead and turn up. There we go. All right. And also the other thing with the with this Windsible is that it comes with these. There's like a little bottle of fog fluid. I bought 2, and so far, well, see, just as I'm talking it up. So sometimes it does this. It just cuts off mid flow. So we'll just let it sit there for a second, and then we'll just turn the dial back up. Like I said, it's version 1. I've been pretty happy with it. There's a couple little quirks. Sometimes it'll do a couple of strange things, but the people who make it are pretty responsive on the Discord channel, and I haven't really had any major problems with it, so I like it. Okay, we are at 94 miles per hour. And one thing that's interesting, what we're seeing, especially even with the Lamborghini, a more traditional car, is I think we're starting to see a little bit of air separate from the body right about here, right on just at the back of the roof line. So we're going to go ahead and turn this up a little bit more and see if that is the case. We're now at 121 miles per hour, and the airstreams get a little bit more easy to distinguish. And so the Lamborghini doesn't have the advantage of being a fantasy car. The fantasy cars can have such wild, strange angles that sometimes it doesn't matter. They don't have to. They can compensate for. See again. So we're getting this error message, which I think after I do this, I'll just go through. There's a way to reset this, because as you saw, there's definitely fluid in there. So let's see if we can hurry up and get this thing up to speed before it decides to possibly cut off again. So we are at 161 miles per hour, and there's a little bit of separation here, but not significant. And this is pretty classic Lamborghini airflow that we would expect to see. And there's no reason to suspect that this car would not do well. I kind of wish these were the wheels that were on that Formula Solar, but hey, we'll see what happens. Push this up to 188 miles per hour. And again, it's just right here at this back end that there seems to be a little, just a little bit of separation, but it's not too significant. And we are, this is just a good solid pick. We're pushing it up to 201 miles per hour. And good airflow. Just very basic. I mean, it's just what you would expect. This is a perfect example of a car with a good aerodynamic profile. And students love picking Lamborghinis because they just know Lamborghini is associated with speed. And the other thing is that once we start talking about what you're looking for in terms of a good aerodynamic profile, then a Lamborghini is a solid pick. Okay, let's see. We got another pick, number 68. So I'm gonna grab number 68 real quick. Okay, let's wind down the Lambo. And again, I think Roughshod said he's sticking with the Formula Solar, and so we are going to see that. But we've got another pick, number 68. So let's go ahead. It is this one. It is the Locomotion, which we have this one designed in the Thomas the Tank Engine style. And this one I really like. I got this a long time ago. And my son, when he was little, he was into Thomas the Train or Thomas the Tank Engine and all those. And if you know anything about those, I don't know if they still are, but at least when he was little, these things were made out of wood, or the tracks were made out of wood, but the toys were made out of metal, and they were not cheap. They were not cheaply made, and they were not inexpensive. So I was glad when he grew out of the Thomas and those things, because it was a lot cheaper when he got into Hot Wheels. But so when I saw this one, definitely had to pick it up. So this is the Locomotion. There's different versions of this that are, have different paint schemes. But for my money, this is absolutely the best. I think this is kind of like that fire truck where it would do well on, I think it would be surprisingly fast on the track. And I think it's only been picked maybe one time that I can remember a student picking it. But it was another one of those like surprises. We're going to put it in the wind tunnel. I think it's going to be another situation of a car that has a bad aerodynamic profile. But if it is in fact fast on our track, it's going to be for other reasons. And what those reasons will be, we'll have to figure out. If Christopher, if you end up picking this as your pick on Saturday, we'll find out. But let's go ahead and stick it in the wind tunnel and see what Thomas the Tank Engine is doing. As my grandmother would say, let's see what Thomas is putting down. So we've got it lined up right here. And I think much like with the fire truck, we are going to see air pile up right here in the front and then have to make its way over, under, and around this train. And there's little openings here, and so the air can still flow. It's not so with the fire truck, the front was solid. There were no openings anywhere. This one has openings, so the air can still flow through, but because of all the details on the engine and the little gears and components, the air is not going to have a straight shot to flow through to the back. So there's still going to be a lot of drag that this vehicle is creating. But let's go ahead and take a look and see what we see, even though we kind of have an idea what we're going to see. But let's fire it up. Here we go. And let's see here. So this is at 80 miles per hour, and you can already see, anytime you see big patches of white, it's where the air is building up in front. And then you can see it streaming off the sides here and here. And this area, when it's building up, there's high pressure right in this area. And then just like with the fire truck, we can kind of see the air just, look at that separation at the top of the screen, but on the right side of the train. So the air hits the front, and it's got to get around. The train would have to push through, and that air is separating completely from the body. And there are low pressure, it's creating low pressure where that separation is occurring. So as this thing is moving through the air, and going down the track, the high pressure is right at the front, and the lower pressure is at the back. So high pressure here, low pressure starting basically right here and continuing all the way, and that creates pressure drag. So, and we said that the pressure drag, the high pressure moving toward the lower pressure, is moving in this direction from front to back. Meanwhile, the train is trying to move forward. So it's just going to work against it and decrease its speed. So it's definitely let's go ahead and what triggered off again, but no mind, we're just going to fire it right back up. And keep it going. So this is at 107 miles per hour, and we really just we got that warning again. But I'll just reset this after we're done, which we're just about done. But I think we kind of got the idea with this this vehicle. It's not a good aerodynamic profile, but that doesn't mean it won't be fast on the track for a number of other reasons. So this is up to 134 miles per hour. And again, the air is just flowing right off. So you can imagine as this train is moving down the track, this is what's happening. It's having to push this air out of the way, and the easier time a vehicle has, moving through the air, pushing it out of the way, allowing it to flow over, under, and around, then the better chance it has of performing well on our track. So that is the Locomotion. So we've had a good look at some bunch of different cars. This is one of my favorites, just for a whole number of reasons. But that Thomas the Tank Engine, look that they got to it really good. So we have cars. If you would like to pick a car to race on Saturday, then all you have to do is join us. It will be at 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern, and whatever time it is, wherever time zone you're in, on YouTube and Twitch. We can't do it on Instagram because we need the wider screen format, and just doesn't work out well on Instagram. But again, go to AtTheTrack.live, and the links are there to watch live. You can watch older episodes on our YouTube channel under the live tab. You can also, most importantly, pick a car. Christopher's picked a car. Roughshod has picked a car. Christopher's going with the West Coast Flyer. And I think we'll probably end up having a bonus race, which will be the West Coast Flyer versus this Thomas tank engine Locomotion. So, and by the way, the West Coast Flyer is also a train. So that'll be a cool little matchup that we have. And if you want to pick a car, you go to AtTheTrack.live, select choose a car, find the car you want, take the number, drop it in the chat on Saturday. I'll pull the car and we will race. And I just realized a couple of days ago, this Saturday is going to be a very special episode of At The Track Live because it is going to be the 100th episode. And so I was trying to think, all right, what can I do special for the 100th episode? And what I think I'm going to do, I need to make the list, is I'm going to go back through all the previous 100 episodes or so, and I'm going to find every car that was our fastest in fleet champion at one point. So right now it's the Blitz Speeder. Before that it was the Gazella R. Before that it was the Blitz Speeder. Before that I believe it was the Track Tune, then the Draftnator, and then there was a Mazda in there, I believe. There's a few different ones. So the Mach Speeder, I believe, was our first one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get all those cars. It'll be like a tournament of champions. And we'll just get all of those former championship cars. We'll put them back on the track. And maybe one of them can do what the Blitz Speeder did. Come back and recapture the title. I don't know, but it's going to be all championship cars and whichever cars that you happen to pick. So we've got the Formula Solar that Roughshod picked. Christopher's going with the West Coast Flyer, which we're also going to have the Locomotion Thomas tank engine versus West Coast Flyer matchup. And yeah, we're going to have this whole tournament of champions. So we're going to see if the Blitz Speeder, can the Blitz Speeder stand up against all these former champions? It's like on Jeopardy. They bring in the tournament of champions. That's what we're going to have on Saturday for the 100th episode of At The Track Live. We are going to have our tournament of champions. I hope you can watch. If you can't watch live, I know most people end up watching after the fact, which is perfectly fine because I will be here having fun racing Hot Wheels cars, talking about Hot Wheels cars regardless. And everything that you want to see is there on our YouTube page. You can find all the links, everything you need. And but if you can join us live, it's a lot of fun. Go ahead and do that. So Saturday at 11 a.m., YouTube and Twitch at the Track Live. We will be racing cars. And now, I think that we are... Yeah, I need to go and do some, and go through the old episodes and find those cars and identify them because we are, I'm not sure how many champions we have. Like, yes, it's 100 episodes, but for example, the Gazella R was champion for 16 weeks. So that's 16 episodes. The Blitz Speeder was champion for 17 weeks before that. I know the Draftnator had a long run. So we should have a handful of cars, but they're all going to be champions. So only champions allowed, and of course the cars that you pick. So I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be Saturday at 11 a.m. live on YouTube and Twitch at the Track Live. So looking forward to that. I am gonna double check and see what's going on, reset this wind tunnel after I sign off, and yeah, I think that's that. So for Wind Tunnel Wednesday, I am Coach James. For All About Aerodynamics, I am Coach James. And also, hey, if you want to find out more about that program, All About Aerodynamics, the science program that uses Hot Wheels cars to teach kindergarten through 6th grade students about a range of physics-related topics, all you have to do is go to our website, aerodynamics.com, or follow us on Instagram. Either way, you can find out all you want to know and how to bring our program to your school or your organization or your special event. So, again, I am Coach James. Wind Tunnel Wednesdays, AtTheTrack.live, all about aerodynamics. Until next time, I will see you all at the races.